Hello guys, warm afternoon to all of you. We'll have a very short introduction to product management today. Before we get in, like a brief background about me, I have nearly like 5 years of experience into product management, managing mostly online products. Right now, I manage products for Great Learning, and like we cover like products across the world for in terms of online education, things that involve like how to deliver online education, products that involve that, products that involve how to make sure students are engaged. So I handle a wide variety of products here, covering various gamuts of online education. Other than that, before this, I have like 2 years of experience with Snapdeal, where I used to own the customer experience products, things like the My Account section that you use to place returns on Snapdeal, things like the CRM solutions, enterprise products. So I had experience around those kind of products with Snapdeal. Before that, I have 2 years experience with Zealand also, where I used to be working with like standalone online products, which involve like say training module online products, training solutions, solutions for school management, things like which are standalone products there. So I have a master's degree from IIM Shillong, and before that I was an IT engineer from Madras Institute of Technology University. So a brief like what's coming up, what are we going to do today? Like first we are going to look at what product management is all about. Then like what does a typical day look like? This is the typical question that we have. Like what does a typical day look like? Something that we do not know. So that's the first question that we ask. Second is I want to do a practical experience of like how would we go about building a product, like a small case kind of thing. And finally, what are the career opportunities in product management and how it looks, how the career progression looks like. Okay, what is a product manager? So like there are so many. This is one of the most difficult roles to define actually, because a product manager takes so many different shapes and so many different organizations, so many different contexts. It's a very widespread role, you would say. But I would best define product manager as a router. Is the guy who connects various networks, who connects various things, who is the center. He should be able to understand the language from both sides of the table. He should be able to connect both of them effectively, interpret whatever is required, whatever is sent, and like put it in the form that the other person understands. Is like a router, typically speaking. So, and for the router that the product manager is, the first and most important connection is the source connection, right? Like a router gives data, but if there is no source, obviously who's going to receive things? So the source connection is basically the end users. Okay. And end users, I would go with defining like they are like teenagers. Okay, you have to treat them like teenagers all the time. You have to go and talk to them, even if they are reluctant. You have to go and talk to them. You will have to understand what they are doing. You have to understand what their problems are. So, like our product manager's job is to treat end users like teenagers, like adolescents. And fortunately or unfortunately for you, these teenagers are gone, because they are everything. Like the products that you build, if they use or they don't use, that's what is ultimately going to decide your career or whatever you do. Like whether it makes sense, whatever you are doing is making sense or not, is decided by them. Your teenagers. So other than this, you interact with a wide set of people. One is the UI UX designers, the design guys. So they make more than color choices. These guys are the ones who help you define user journeys. Like how should the when you start out building a solution or a product, how should the user journey be? Like how should they be taken through your product is what the UI UX designers help you with. Other UI UX designers are the ones who are going to help you in building the product solution, who are going to help you in defining the user journey, like how the end user is going to experience your solution, whatever solution is going to build. They are your partners in defining that. And and other than that, you have the technical folks who are basically the ones who actually get the job done. Basically, at the end of the day, product managers are going to coordinate, right? They are going to actually build the solution.
Though they own the product, but they don't build the product. So the technical folks, you tell them what to do, like what should be the products, what are the products that we should be building is what you tell them to do, but you never tell them how to do, because they are experts at it. You would never be able to tell them how to do something, because they are the subject matter expert in general. Okay. So other than that, the most important thing I have highlighted right now is the numbers guy. Basically the analytics guys who help you with the numbers. So it's for utmost importance to be in constant touch with them and understand as to where your product is going. A product isn't defined by one or two people that you have interacted with. Like you will build an app, you will put it out, two of your friends or two of the end consumers who maybe you presented it for a idea, maybe they were able to, they liked it, but that doesn't define whether your product was good or not. You will define whether your product was successful purely based on the numbers that you will track. Okay. Finally, the project managers. These are guys. Sometimes product manager plays the multiple role of a project manager also. Even in case of like say Great Learning, I play the role of both project manager and product manager. As the companies grow big, you will have specialized project manager who will be involved in like keeping track, timekeeping, and if there are some issues between different teams, he will come into resolving that issue specifically, so that you can focus on building products. That's where project managers come in bigger organizations in particular. So this is product manager. Going next to what we do daily. A typical product manager's calendar looks like this. So basically your job is to interact with 5 people. If you're the router, obviously you're going to be interacting with people all the time, right? So meetings is what you primarily do. On a more serious note, meetings on what? So what do we do daily? Meetings on what are the different areas for which you do meetings daily. So you get into things like, for example, user research and problem definition. You interact with users, try to understand what they do currently. What are the problems that they are facing? Do they need intervention from you anywhere? That's what you will try to understand while talking to users at the first level. Then you will talk to them again at the end of everything in something called as user acceptability, where you will go to them. Okay, now you told me this was the problem. I defined the solution. Whether the solution I have defined will work for you or not. You will go back to them and ask, right? Because they are the ones you are going to use. So that is user research and problem definition. Other than, so there are different ways of defining requirements and this one, but I use in specific something called as a job story, which basically is like, it gives for a given situation, what does the person want to do? It's basically capturing a user's behavior in a templated format, in a particular format, so that it's standardized across, right? If you put things in a particular format, it is easier for you to understand. It is easier for the next guy who is the UI UX designers. UI UX designers find it much easier when you give them in the form of job stories, particular job stories that tell them, okay, this is the user behavior that we have seen till now. That's what you have captured and you are giving to this guy. So other than that, next one is defining users journeys with the UI guys. You will define something called as wireframes, which is basically in black and white a rough sketch of what it's gonna be. And the same wireframe is converted into mocks, which is basically how the product will look like in actual flesh, like the colors, the actual look and feel. Wireframes give more or less the idea of how things will look like more or less, and how the journey will be, like which screen to which screen to which screen. That's what wireframes will give. An actual prototype or a mock will give the actual how it will look in reality. And whenever you go to the next stage, which is basically the technical guys who are going to work on the solution, they will work off the mocks so that they get the exact user experience that the mock was giving. So that's implementation. So you tell in concise requirements, you keep it. One tip here would be to, like, people keep it as simple as possible. That's one of the toughest things to do while you're giving requirements to the technical guys who are going to implement it. Okay, your product is built. Then your next step would be to champion the product. So how will you make sure that the product is used by people? If it requires training, you'll do trainings. If it requires you to do a video that says, okay, this is how the product is, then you'll get the video made. Maybe you'll work with the marketing teams. You may not actually make these videos. In most cases, in mostly bigger firms, you will get into These videos will have specialized marketing teams who are going to work with maybe agencies to get the videos made, but it's your job to initiate making the video. It's your job to make sure that the video gets made on time. Second, after that is the most important thing that I keep talking about, product metrics. So when you're defining the product upfront, along with the product requirements, it's your job to define what will dictate whether your product is a success or not. What will be those metrics that will decide whether your product is successful or not? And it's your job to track these metrics religiously, not by qualitative thing, as much quantitatively, as much objectively as possible. That's your job. And third part out to it is, one second, somebody has raised hand. So third part to it is, if things are not going as expected, say the numbers aren't going as expected, then what to do about it? What can be done to fix it? So other than this, there is one last, which is more of a generic or a broader level point, which is basically defining roadmap of products. Like, you will develop as you grow more and more in the organization. You won't be just working on defining products. You will define as to what products to work on, where this product line is going, like how is basically how the company is growing in terms of products. That's something that you will start defining as you grow to the next levels of product management. So, like, basically now I've given you a brief idea into what the daily like calendar of a product manager looks like, what he does and stuff like that. Now I'm gonna like take a small example and I want to build a product together with you guys. Like, I want to like take a small example. Whatever we have seen in theory right now, I want to put it into practice by taking a small example. Say we have like 10 people in Great Learning right now. We all want to play football, okay? Like, we are like just like really bored. It's Friday evening. We want to play football. But unfortunately, there is like are there grounds in which we do not know? Are there places where we can play football? We do not know. So finding a place is a difficult task. So this is a problem that I have. So let's say a very enterprising entrepreneur comes to know of this. Okay, this is a problem that's ailing working professionals who want to get together and play, or college students who want to get together and play. So the job story for that will go something like, when I want to play football, I should be able to see the list of football grounds around me, and the ultimate objective being so that I can find one easily. So this is basically captures what is the situation, what is his motivation, what is that motivation part is basically your requirements, what's going to get converted as your requirements. And third part is, what is your objective? I want people to find one easily. And this is basically a job oriented approach to taking user behavior insight. That's what job stories are about. Like, to answer your question, Mohammed, a user story will be more like I want to be able to see user X. It will define a user X first. Okay, it will define a user X, which will say user X, which is Sabrish working in Great Learning, wants to be able to see the list of football grounds around him. That's how user stories would have defined this. Instead of job story, forgets what the user X is, because more than the user, we want to know the context. It focuses on the job, it focuses on the context rather than the user. That's the difference. Okay. So that is with respect to defining job stories. After this job story, I've defined this. You will go to the UI UX guys and say like, okay, this is the problem. We want a page where they can see the list of football grounds around them easily. So you will define something like this. You'll work on a first cut wireframe, which will be something like this. For example, I've just taken a random example, and maybe you will define like this. Like, there will be a box for this. There will be a box for giving your like names of the playgrounds. There will be a box that will give a photo of the playground in the big box. Something like that. Okay. Then after that, you will take this to your tech guys and tell like, okay, this is tech guys, we need this solution, and there is a middle step in between where you convert it into box, which will look something like this only in original. Like, it will be in green, it will be like what color should we use and things like that. So after that, the tech team will build the app. Okay. Once the tech team builds the app, it's done. Let's say the app is ready for you. then you will get into you will get into basically usability testing of it. Basically that is you will go to the end users and understand what is like whether the product will work or not. You'll get a like minor idea of that and make some tweaks, and then finally you will launch the product. Okay, that step alone I haven't mentioned here, which is like it's integral to product launching, is like integral of what product does. After the product launch, then you will champion the product. For example, championing the product will involve things like you will make sure that the SEO, SEM guys, the search engine marketing guys, like if someone searches for football grounds, you should make sure that you come up. And for that, maybe Google, like maybe marketing needs to be tweaked up, online marketing needs to be tweaked up, like whatever needs to be done. Maybe you will make pamphlets be circulated across the Bangalore area where you are launching. Like whatever you need to do for it, you will do. Okay. And finally, what I talked about, the product metrics, which basically gives like, let me, for an example I have taken, at least 10% of people who visit the app should end up finding a football ground. That's the thing that I can take, right? Marketing people will ensure that you get 100 users or X users to this one. But if 100 users come there, at least 10 people should go with after finding a football ground. That's the ultimate objective that we will want to, as a product guy, you should be focusing. It's your product and you should be making sure that people who come there go satisfied back. And that you will measure objectively by saying, okay, this X% is my target for this time, that people will come here with go with this much X% of people go. If it is not happening, then what you will think of options. Okay, maybe I should widen the spread of my area. Like instead of showing 2 kilometers radius, maybe 3 kilometers radius will work. Maybe I should make them reach out to me in case they don't find. Maybe I should have a flow which will make them reach out to me separately. Things like that. So you'll look for alternatives like that. So this is a practical example we have seen. Mohammed has asked a query which says like whether PM changes a job story to a user story for the developers and testers. No, when it comes to the developers and testers, Mohammed, the middle part that we talked about, which is basically the able to see the list of football grounds around me, that is basically, that's going to get converted into functional requirements in the form of something called as a PRD or a requirements document, product requirements document or a requirements document, which will basically explain to the developers and the testers, the QA guys, as to, okay, these are the different things that they should be building. Okay. No, Archana has asked a query like, why should be the number of users using the football app going to be a success metric for a product manager? Number of people coming to the app, yeah, so number of users making use of the app, coming to the app, maybe will be a marketing metric, which will make sure that, okay, these many people at least land on the app. But once they land on the app, whether they convert into a successful purchase, which is basically booking a football ground through your app, that is completely the product manager's metric, because it very heavily depends on whether your app has been designed to make it easy for them to find and book that football ground or not. And just to answer one more query, like from Jatin, he was talking about e-commerce. Like, let me just take a small parallel example from e-commerce or Snapdeal, so that you guys get a better idea for this one. Let's say I was a product manager with Snapdeal owning the product page, the product listing page in Snapdeal, which is basically where you see a particular product. So making sure people come to that product listing page is one thing, but once they come to the product listing page, the product manager who owns the product page makes sure that the buy now button is at the right position. Maybe there are a number of steps involved for him to make a purchase from there, should be just 3. So he will get into defining how that particular page should be in order to make sure that the person who comes to the product page gets converted into a person who purchases on Snapdeal. That's what. And to answer your question, Jatin asked, like, what does a product manager in Snapdeal? This is what product managers in Snapdeal do. They define how the product pages should look like. They define how for example, the search should work. The search engine, how when you search for a product on Snapdeal, how it should work. So that is what these guys do. Categories like electronics, media, marketing, cameras, all that is taken care of by something called as category management. So category management is different. Product management is taking care of website and things like that. Okay, so this covers our section of a brief intro into what product management is all about, and like a practical example of how product managers go about building products with you. Okay, question Ruchika asked, which is basically, have you worked on offline products? Yes, I have worked with offline products also in my first stint. The difference for offline products and online products, Ruchika, and to others also, will be your technical folks will change. Okay, technical folks I had mentioned, which is technical and can be anything, right? In our case, our technical folks are like in case of like say Snapdeal, they are experts in Java. They are experts in writing Java code. They are developers. They are QA who can test Java code, like automated testing of that, for example. In case, let's take a simple example, Asian Paints, let's say. Even Asian Paints has product managers, and they also go through a process which is slightly similar. But in case of Asian Paints, instead of technical guys building it, it will be the chemical engineers who will be your technical folks. That's the change. In terms of technical folks, you will replace the subject matter experts. If it's an online, if it's an education company, academicians will be your technical folks. That is how things change, but product managers are there. But the thing is, predominantly, a lot of product managers are involved in the online industry and the e-commerce industry because of the obviously the growing number of opportunities in these fields. Okay. Some like Srinivas has a question like programming requirement required for product management. See, product management touches across like various aspects. Okay, a bit of like programming background or a bit of idea into how technical stuff works will make it easier for you when you're conversing with your technical managers. But the same goes for operations also, right? If you're a product manager, you need to talk to your operations guys to understand what operations are. That's how you'll be able to have a conversation with you. That's when you will be able to win the respect of them. If you're gonna go there to the operations guys and say like, I don't know anything about what you guys do, just tell me what to do and I will get it done. But that's not what you are doing, right? Then why are you required? You're gonna just directly talk to the end guys who are going to develop it, right? So that's where you come in. You need to have a bit of understanding of everything. But if for technical products, yes, a bit of understanding of technical or you being comfortable with technical stuff, that also will be a good big help. Archana has a query that like following users like what is the role of a sponsor, what is the role of a customer, what is the role of a product manager. A sponsor, by I mean you mean the business people. If business people, the operations ones are the ones who are going to be basically helping you deliver the product, who are going to be involved in operationalizing your business. A product manager is going to be involved in our current sense. The product manager is going to be involved in building the solution that will help the operations guys deliver the solution to the customer. So that's how these three people are involved in this one. Mohammed has asked a question, do product managers also have to code? 95% of the cases, no. In traditional definition of product management, this one, no is the answer to your question. There are few exceptions. For example, in India, Zomato takes product managers who also code. Companies like InMobi also involve product managers who are highly technical, who have high technological knowledge. So Archana has asked one more question, like product managers, do they need to take approval from sponsors? Yes. Before you go about building a product, you will make sure that your end users or your sponsors or whoever is going to be like the operations team, whether it will be useful to them. So that is something that you will have to get. Yeah, you do need to take approvals on your mocks and on your requirements. There is a sign off that you need from them before you can go. Yeah, Archana, you're right. Okay, now that we have done this, I'll get into an interesting part, which is basically careers in product management. Okay, one aspect of that, like one thing that is there for sure, guys, like product management is on a rise. Is like without doubt, it's one of the hottest jobs right now in the market. Very sought after because the number of people who know this is much lesser than the number of people who are required. There's been a huge boom in like online products, and some of those products have lasted, and some of those products are going to continue to grow, and more new products are coming in daily. By the way, like the app that I showed you, Playo, that's like what, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months old, and that's an amazing app which like a lot of us in this organization are using. So that's developed by a small team with a product manager who is designing what it should be. So there are so many new challenges and so many solutions that India is coming up with. So product managers, not only India, like across Southeast Asia, like there has been a huge boom in terms of online products, and this is a good time to be a product manager right now. And not only that, progression from different backgrounds. That's a very good question. Like Mohammed also was like asking that. So product management, since it involves multiple facets, you are talking to operations, you are talking to technical guys, or you are talking to this one. So since it's an amalgamation of understanding of various skills, there are multiple places from which you can become a product manager. To give an example, guys, there are so many people from operations. I was into customer experience, customer care products in Snapdeal. There are so many people from customer care operations who switched to product roles because they knew the operations, they knew the products in and out that were already there. They could switch to product managing products in customer care itself in a seamless manner. And for technical guys, that is one more, that is also there. There are so many technical guys who after 4 years, after 8 years of technical experience shift to product management. Example is companies like Google. So Google usually prefers like engineers with tons of experience, like 7 years, 8 years. Those are the people who become product guys in Google. Google usually shuns away from product management from different companies. If you like take like product manager in Google and search on their LinkedIn account, you will find most of them to have been with richer experience within Google for background. Like, so there is opportunity for people from different aspects like engineers, technical team people, and operations to get into product, provided you have a certain set of acumen, which we will look at next. This is how a career progression will look like. Okay, so starting out as a product manager, let's say you're shifting from like a technical role or operation role into product management. You're just starting out, or you're a person who has been who's going to just start out in product management in general. You will be managing individual products upfront. So when I joined, for example, Snapdeal, first thing I used to do was just manage the CRM solution. That's the only piece I used to work on. Just a single product, which is basically the CRM solution, and building it from scratch to the end. Okay. Once you go about building the product, then you will obviously graduate into managing multiple products. You will increase the number of products that you work on, which is basically an experienced product manager, a second level product manager, where you manage a set of product managers. For example, when I ended at Snapdeal, I was managing the My Account section, I was managing the CRM solution too, I was managing the backend intelligence engines that was powering the My Account system, I was managing an online tracking system. So you get to manage like multiple projects, say 3 or 4 products at least, as you grow in experience, and you have the ability to run the product simultaneously, and most probably you have some people within you, some junior or starting out product managers who actually maybe manage some of the products too. And then the third level obviously is product leaders. Basically you own the product vision, then you are like involved in building teams of product managers, you are involved in business also. For example, the success of Snapdeal doing these many GMV or like millions of business, millions of or crores of business directly depends on whether the product listing is right, whether the search gives the right products, whether the buyer flow, basically after he clicks on buy now, the cart page that comes in, whether it is seamless in experience, whether the order delivery happens on time, whether the returns happens on time. It's a factor of all this. So you start to own conversion rates, the product leader, for example, the chief product officer of Snapdeal used to own conversion rates, which is one of the crucial metrics of which decides whether person who's going to come to the page is getting converted or not, and that directly affects how many millions or how many crores Snapdeal is going to earn in a month. So he used to own that, things like that. And to highlight more on what are the skill sets required for a starting level product manager, basic simple things. You need to be able to understand users. You need to be able to sit and listen to them patiently. You may, frankly speaking, some of them you will find like, are people so dumb? You should be open-minded to understand that there are people work differently than you. You will be used to using one thing in a particular manner. Maybe a new guy will be using it in a completely different manner. So you should be able to sit with them, understand them. You should be open-minded and things like that. Second thing is logical ability. This is required for you to define your solutions. Without obviously a logic, your solution, whatever it is, it will involve 5 different factors. How to connect them together, it will involve logical ability. So logical ability is second. Third thing that you will need to be is focusing on numbers. You should be able to talk your numbers with every slide. Okay. So if you're going to present a slide saying I'm going to do this product, you should be able to, bottom of that slide should necessarily be, okay, what will be the numbers that will be affected by such a page. And finally, the most important thing that I have highlighted is ownership of what you do. There is a cliche that goes in product management that says like a product manager is supposed to be a mini CEO. Okay, he's supposed to own everything. He's supposed to worry about everything. Okay, you are like whatever piece, even if it's the smallest of smallest product that you're owning, just the my account section of Snapdeal page, you should be on top of it completely. You should be able to see how many people come to it, how many people go away from it without looking at it. Like everything, you should be knowing every single detail, whatever promotion, you should be on top of everything. That's what a product manager is supposed to be. Ownership. Basically, ownership is what if someone is hiring you. Let's say if I am hiring a product manager tomorrow for Great Learning, that's what I will look at. Whether how much ownership can he take. How much, and with ownership and responsibility comes a lot of things like ability to manage multiple things, ability to manage pressure, ability to handle situations, tough situations that will come, things like that. So that is it. So this is with respect to progression. One last thing about product management in general is like middle level managers are fewer in number in product management. If you see organizations like Google, like huge organizations, people will be at levels where they own products, and there will be one guy who they will be reporting. Hardly there will be multiple tiers compared to other things like say operations where you find 4 tiers, 5 tiers. You won't find that many tiers. You will find only 1 or 2 hierarchy. It will be mostly a flat hierarchy. Is how product management will be working. So that is it from my end. Welcome to product management, folks.
Thank you so much, Sabrish. That was really helpful and very informative. So we can take some last questions, and while the participants type out last questions, I have a question myself, and it'll be good if you can share your views on it, Sabrish. So in terms of products, especially when you look at large scale companies like Snapdeal or Amazon, and since you were a product manager at Snapdeal, how do you go about an iterative product development? Because I don't think at that scale you will be able to talk to users. So how do you kind of make informed decisions about what is the right product roadmap to build? What is the general process that's followed, especially when you're running into millions of users using your product?
So one small correction there. Even at that scale, we do talk to users. We do understand users through things like Google Analytics, which basically helps us understand user behavior, how they interacted with your system. We understand through that. So talking is one way, but better than talking is obviously analytics, right? You will like understanding user behavior through that. That's what we use at that scale, okay, to understand users. Other than that, we do qualitative talking to users also. For example, Snapdeal had a separate usability testing lab. Okay, the very purpose of the lab is we will build out prototypes, we'll build out products, and we will call 10-15 random end users and do a focus group study with them. Okay, that's the level of usability testing that you will come to when you're like really growing, when your company is going higher and higher up. Okay. And choosing between multiple products, like for example, if the product is at scale already, you already have a set of products, and you're going to be growing those set of products as you grow. For that time you will choose products based on, again, numbers. It will be based on things like how many people are going to use that particular product. You will make decisions based on that. What will change? What are the metrics? Say for example, if I add this feature, let's say we are going to, like, okay, I'll take a practical example. Okay, last year Snapdeal decided to add the option of people being able to choose the time of delivery. Okay, this was not there with Snapdeal before. Okay, they were going to be trying to add that. So for that, at that scale, you will do obviously a qualitative research into how the UI should be. Like, you will do mocks with some random users who are using the system. But whether the product needs to be built or not depends on how many people would want time delivery. Are there a lot of cases where our products are being cancelled because of the wrong time of delivery? That's you will look at numbers like this in order to make these decisions as to whether the product should be built and how the product should be built. He has a doubt, which is basically so currently into QA role for 7 years, like switching into career, like switching into product, is it an option? Like, what would you take? Raji, like switching into your same organization with a product is a possible option. So for that, like, obviously skills, like for you to be able to articulate your case better with your firm by structuring your thoughts. Say for example, like one of the most important things that people look for in product guys is like whether they are structured in their thoughts, how logical and structured they are. Okay, and that logical and structure will come to you with you thinking more and more logically, more and more structurally, and those things you will come with practice. For example, like it took me like half an hour to build those 2 slides where I laid out how a football product, like football app should be, football ground searching app should be there. So once you're used to it, once you're in that mode, it helps you to put your case further in a much more logical manner. So things like that would help you build your case, is what I would say. Said like, okay, you do a certification in product management, and then people will start, okay, your company will accept you as a product manager, or people outside will accept you as a product manager. When it comes to product management, a lot of it is soft skills. You guys realize it, right? Like so many of them are soft skills. This doesn't involve, like hardly 2-3 templates are used. Otherwise it's like soft skills. It's about how you think. It's about how you put forward your thoughts. It's all about that. So a certification, when it helps you, if it's, let's say for example, it's C++, it's Java, you know that there is a particular way of writing the code, and you being knowledgeable in that code will really help you, and the certification will help you there. But when it comes to a soft skill, it will be more like your experience, more like what you know and how you put forward your thoughts. Archana's question is slightly e-commerce courses that can add e-business skills. This is like a wide industry. I think what I would say is skills to your resume, like more than your resume, to like resume is one thing, like resume is something that you can sit and build. You can do projects that will help you. For example, in PGPMX itself, you have a small mini project kind of thing that you can add to your resume. Things like that can help you add things to your resume. But more importantly than your resume is just your like key, right? Once you get in, what you need to do is, for that e-commerce or this one, using these products more and more is something that will really help you, like consciously, like using more and more products. If you want to get into that domain, obviously if you have used that domain, that is like one of the basic things. That is something that I think will add value to your this one, resume and profile. I think all 3 questions are around like shifting out of companies. shifting out of companies is also an option. For that practical experience like projects, practical experience like doing things more hands-on using standard way. I think that is the best way for you to try to get an entry into a starting or entry-level product manager role into product firms that are outside your area currently. I think that is the best way you can do. Like the more practical experience and more practically you keep thinking product wise, and you building your resume through some projects or something. These things are the best ways for you to be able to get an entry into product management.
Thank you so much, Sabrish, for your time. This was really helpful. I hope the participants also found it useful and informative enough. So once again, thank you so much.
Definitely, it would be a pleasure talking to you guys today. Thank you.